Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I'm going to jump straight into this one. I'm going to be testing Knull at level 60 in both Timeline and Alliance Conquest. Now remember from before that I said at level 60 characters receive a pretty hefty penalty in terms of damage and being able to land hits on other characters who are a higher level than them, especially the ones that are level 70, which in most cases are all the characters in Timeline, but not necessarily all the ones in Alliance Conquest. Besides this penalty that the characters receive for being a lower level, they also receive an additional penalty in terms of the damage that they receive from the enemy too. You can see in this video that despite these penalties, my Knull isn't having too much difficulty taking out characters like Jean and Thanos, even when they have Colossus support. You might be wondering why exactly I'm testing on Jean and Thanos, especially because they're not necessarily the top of the Timeline meta at the moment. And the reason for that is because I consider them kind of the golden standard for testing a character to see how good they are and if they have the potential to be a meta character for either Timeline or Alliance Conquest. If the characters that I'm testing struggle to take down Jean and Thanos, then I know that they're going to have a lot harder time taking down the stronger metas that have iframe, ignore, reflect, and a bunch of other very strong abilities. By the way, you might have also noticed that I swapped out the characters at the beginning of the fights, and that's just so I get to see what that character's true potential rotation is without that penalty. Unfortunately, I've noticed that Knull doesn't really have the best skill priority. He tends to either use his second ability or third ability when someone iframes and the skill is kind of prompted to activate. Fortunately, these two skills actually deal a pretty sizable amount of damage, and oftentimes because he doesn't have a lot of iframe skills when these skills are interrupted, he'll often go into his higher damaging skills, which are his fourth and his fifth. So the last two clips I tested on were fully on auto, and in this final clip that I'm testing in Timeline, I decided to try all manual. This is more just to see what Knull can do with ideal rotation, and if you perhaps didn't have the resources to build him to level 70 and wanted to see how high you could push him in Timeline versus the other players at the top. Now this isn't to say that you can't do this on auto, but some people may just want to do it on manual. Maybe they want to play and not leave it up to the AI to determine whether they win or lose. Either way, you can see that Knull definitely has potential for PvP. Most of his abilities actually hit pretty hard, and this is definitely significant because a lot of characters now rely either on invincible or shield procs to survive. If Knull can burst these characters down quickly when these procs occur, or even when they don't, then it's a pretty big positive in terms of the character's ability to do PvP content. Additionally, because he can't die when he reaches 1 health for the first time, his HP pool effectively is double. This means that a character would have to burn through 2 full HP bars in order to kill him. In that time, Knull can easily fill up his T3 skill, which he wouldn't be able to do if he had a revive like most other meta characters. You can see by the length of this clip that even Knull's survival at level 60 isn't too bad at all, regardless of the fact that I'm using Colossus. And speaking of Colossus, you'll see here at the end that even after I take out Jean, I'm invincible for a period of time after I die, so I'm able to take out reflect counters as well. I was also able to test Knull in Alliance Conquest, but I tried to start off a bit lower on the tier list in terms of metas by fighting characters like Doom, Deadpool, and Apocalypse. Instead of trying out a full solo build with 2 supports, I first started off with just 1 support and a character that might help with the damage. So in this clip, the support is obviously Red She-Hulk that gives HP bonus to both Knull and Gwenom. And Gwenom is there basically to provide kind of extra damage while she iframes and take out the second set of enemies after the first win. So in the second clip, I'm using Knull in the lead position instead of Red She-Hulk, because I want that extra damage to be able to take out Odin and Dormammu's 2 lives. And you can see here that neither proved to be much difficulty for Knull and this team that I'm using. You might have also noticed that this tile or fight was burned, so it started off with half health. Unfortunately, that's just AC. I can't really test the way I want because we don't have a testing area for that yet. But yeah, even off recording, I was able to take out those characters with this set, so it does work. So I saved the best clip for last, and in this one, I used Knull lead and 2 supports, a damage, and survival by Red She-Hulk and Taskmaster to take on Thanos. And even though this tile was burned like the last one, unfortunately, like I said, I can't test ideally like I want. But you can see here that even when Thanos gets to full health, I'm still able to fully take out his health and win the tile. So this is pretty crazy that Knull can do this at level 60. So at level 70, I'm not really sure what he can do, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be AC meta in some way. Oh, and because of his pseudo revive, he basically keeps the progress of his T3. So unless you kill him in the first fight, he more than likely build up that T3 and cast it in the second fight. So yeah, you can clearly see he has PvP potential, so he's not just PvE. Anyways, yeah, that's the end of my level 60 testing. When I get him to level 70, I'll for sure post that as well. Thanks for your time, and yeah, if you want to leave a comment, that's up to you. I'd definitely appreciate any likes or subscribes. The video is now over.